A while back, someone suggested I do a top 10 orders in Conway video. I thought about that and realized, despite having lived here for 2 years while making these videos, I still feel like I've barely scratched the surface of local eats. So, at best, it would be wildly incomplete. On the other hand, the video may incite outrage for not including some of the local favorites, which may spark some engagement. So, let's do this. I'll do an annual top 10, you tell me why I'm a know-nothing moron in the comments, and this video can get better from year to year. So, here are the 10 best orders in Conway so far. Let's do this. Actually, I think I'm going to keep this video profanity/insanity free. The regular show will still be the regular show, but given the title, I think the odds of someone visiting Conway actually finding this useful are better. So I don't want their impression of this town to be my crazy ass. I mean, dang it, let's do this. The full review for this place will be up in the next video, but I recently tried Cena's Donuts and Eatery. Now, the donut joints here all seem to have copy-pasted their menus from one another. Donuts, kolaches, breakfast sandwiches, iced coffee. But Cena's is genuinely operating on a whole other level across the board. It's now my go-to spot for breakfast, where you're going to want to order the jalapeno boudin kolache and cinnamon sugar donut. A little sweet and a little heat to start your day. Then when lunchtime rolls around, you can head over to... Okay, let me be real. I have a sneaking suspicion that Whole Hog isn't the best barbecue in Conway. But they are the best barbecue I've had because Almost Famous, Old Bart's, and especially Vincent's were horrible. I still have some other places to try, but for now, Whole Hog is the place to be. And I say that in spite of the fact that their sides are genuinely not very good. The go-to here is the 2-meat plate, and which meats depends entirely on what they have at the time. So I'll create a hierarchy of what's good there. First, the dry rub ribs. If I can go off on a little tangent here for a moment, I don't understand why people lose their minds if you put A1 or ketchup on a steak, but don't see any issue in drowning ribs in a sugary barbecue sauce. How does that make any sense? Dry spices are all meat needs, especially fatty, unctuous meat like pork. So you get your dry rub ribs, and from there, it's going to be about what they have. If they have smoked turkey, I go for that, because smoked turkey is seriously underrated. In fact, it's usually sold out. So are the brisket and burnt ends, so my backup is the jalapeno cheddar sausage. As far as sides, I usually go fries and coleslaw, though be ready to season your slaw because they don't. And don't even think about getting their mac and cheese, which is usually both terrible and for some reason cold. This all might sound harsh for a top 10 countdown, but it's important to remember that bad to mediocre barbecue is still better than a hell of a lot of other meals. But once you've packed your belly full of pork fat, you can head on over to... I've talked copious amounts of garbage about Chinese food in Conway, and even though Korean food is nowhere near the same thing, it is honestly the closest thing I can actually recommend for those wanting to dabble in Asian flavors here. Korean cuisine at its core is all about many flavors and many choices, and bulgogi lives up to that by offering a wide variety of sauces to accompany a relatively simplistic menu. Here you're going to want to go for the spicy pork kimchi fried rice bowl, or the one that doesn't have kimchi if you don't like kimchi. Be sure to add a fried egg, though fair warning, if you get it to go or delivered, that runny yolk is going to cook in transit. Also, be sure to grab some of those sauces like the spicy ponzu, the gochujang, and the yum yum. But by now, your mouth may be on fire from all that spice, so let's cool it off with... Alright, here's the deal. I've heard about the joys of frozen custard many times, but that kind of stuff is simply lost on me. I just don't have that sort of relationship with desserts in general. But when the weather gets warm, I do find myself seeking the magical splendor of a decent milkshake. And when I do, it means a trip to Andy's Frozen Custard for a double malt. Malt, or malted milk powder, is the MSG of the dessert world, and there's something old-timey in its sweet, nutty aromas and comforting simplicity. But now that we've had our dessert, it's time to get right back on the caloric freight train towards gastrointestinal oblivion by heading over to... Okay, so this is a weird one. I reviewed Nando's as being good, but also very strange. On our initial visit, we got nachos, and have since found ourselves craving them again and again. My review may have actually undersold how good these nachos were, because we've been back multiple times. I don't think they do anything special there. They are just the best version of the typical Mexican restaurant meat and fajita vegetables over tortilla chips, with a kind of watery white cheese sauce. And as you eat it, the chips on the bottom get soggy, but somehow better, so you polish it off with with utter joy. Nando nachos are simple, classic, and worth the trek out to whatever the hell part of town this is. But speaking of Mexican food, let's go talk to Bob? This was one of my earlier reviews, but I've since been back there several times and always find it cool. Bob's Grill downtown just has a classic diner vibe, even though it isn't what you would typically call a diner. The people there are friendly and the customers all seem happy to be there. So I guess the kids would say it vibes. I've also since met the owners and they are just as warm and inviting as the restaurant they've cultivated. So what's the order here? Why, the special, of course. I don't know if they just don't update the sign on the wall, but they are always running a kind of Mexican scrambled breakfast special. It's eggs, hash brown, onions, and chorizo sausage, all topped with a jalapeno queso sauce and served with a side of tortillas. So you basically take a tortilla and make yourself some little breakfast tacos. I've found that a good breakfast is hard to come by here in Conway, which makes Bob's Grill my go-to. And speaking of white queso, we should probably head on over to Stobies is arguably the local favorite in the sense that there is a world outside of Yelp and dumb YouTube reviews like these. So it's the place most coveted by the normal people who don't live on the internet. Now for my money, I think Bob's Grill has them barely clipped when it comes to breakfast, but Stobies does have one menu item that edges them out for the best orders in Conway: the barbecue pulled pork nachos. Simultaneously offensive to both barbecue and Mexican, the barbecue pulled pork nachos are the ultimate declaration of not caring about your body, your health, or your future, topped with surprisingly good pulled pork that was made in-house and decadently slathered in white queso. Getting an order of these for lunch sends a message to your boss that you don't intend to get anything done in the afternoon. But, and this but is even bigger than the one that was smoked to make these or the one you'll carry if you eat them too often, the real pro move here is to swap out the tortilla chips for well-done french fries, which are crispy enough to stand up to the queso and not become too soggy, and thereby ensuring that you will not live long enough to see your grandkids graduate high school. But before we die, we have a few more stops to make, starting with B&B put me into a real pickle here because while this list is for top 10 orders, I don't really have one to put here. B&B is a cracking old school bakery with plenty of freshly baked breads, pastries, kolaches, and sandwiches. And although they have a standard menu, the pro move here when you walk in that door is to order whatever the day's special is. There is basically a 100% chance you're going to get an amazing sandwich on some of the best bread you'll find outside of Amish country. But I can't talk about B&B Creations without mentioning my ongoing campaign to shame the owner into using those ovens and his culinary talents to make pizza at least once a week to bring something sorely missed to the Conway area. Do it, man! When I think of the best dishes, I think of the foods that I absolutely crave, the ones I long for when they are far from reach. And for me, in the city of Conway, it's the lamb korma from Taj Mahal. And as I said when I reviewed this place, I don't even like curry. But korma, its gentler, coconuttier cousin, retains the velvety, soothing spice notes that, when used to cook lamb or chicken and served with rice, will have you using every inch of garlic naan to sop up the last drop. But this is a top 10 orders list, and our order isn't complete because Taj Mahal has one less gem hidden within the confines of its menu. The single best thing you can order in the city of Conway, the Kashmiri, a tandoor baked bread filled and or topped with coconut, honey, raisins, dates, figs, and pistachio. Perfect either to deploy with your meal or to enjoy afterwards as a dessert. Don't go here and not order this elongated slice of perfection. And if you're shocked to see an Indian restaurant at the top of this list of best foods in Conway, well, no one is more surprised than me. But as I've said, this list is the best of what I've had so far, so if I'm missing something, or if I've gone somewhere and just ordered the wrong dish, let me know and I'll see you when I see you.